It just got much more stressful.
That's how my brain's feeling.
No, because
we're all at the same temperature check here.
Well, no, because Brittany's sick and she's like, "Hey, are you gonna make dinner? I want soup." And I'm like, oh.
Do what you got to do, man.
Yeah, man. Make her dinner. Yeah,
Well,
that soup.
It's not just her; it's everybody.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Do you have like 10 cans you can just slop into a pan and turn on?
Well, the tricky part is that the kids won't eat. Well, Riley might, but the 5-year-old and the 1-year-old will probably not eat soup.
Okay. I give the 1-year-old a pass, but that 5-year-old better learn to eat soup tonight.
You gonna learn tonight. Keep soup's name out your fucking mouth.
Yo, that was crazy. Have you seen? So the night it happened, Rebel Wilson at the BAFTAs, or like maybe it was like the day after, she was like, Will Smith just won Best Actor Oscar, but I think his best performance of the year was not caring about his wife's boyfriends. And then everybody else, like just comedians in general, basically have just been like going off and just not letting him sleep.
Oh my.
I saw an interview with Jim Carrey. He was like, even if I was Chris Rock and didn't want to press charges, I'd still be suing him for like $200 million because that video is going to be like circulating the internet for the rest of the time.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, that was. Woo.
I have not yet. I have to look this shit up. Will Smith slaps Chris Rock.
Wait, you haven't seen the actual?
No, I don't really keep up with celebrities in any way, shape, or form.
I know, but it's just funny how like you know everything that happens, but you just haven't seen it. It's so weird.
It's so hard to avoid it. Am I the only one who
notices this pattern with Wes?
No, I've noticed it too.
I have a large
Lenny just thinks it's so funny. He can't help but hide his laughter.
Like, even though I live under a rock, I can't avoid just everything that happens. I try to avoid it, but now it's like, now I need to see this happen. So this seems super planned, and also Chris Rock was a hell of a sport about it. From what I'm watching, I don't know. Does he go up and do it again?
No, but they cut the audio. They cut the audio right after he was like, "Wow, Will Smith just punched me," or whatever he said. I don't know. And the audio cuts, but I guess they went to a break or whatever. But yeah, obviously the audio was captured of him saying like, "Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth." That's exactly how he said it and what he said.
Yeah, the audio is cut, but I can totally see where he's saying that. Big old wide mouth, keep like yelling up there.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. I don't know if I have any feelings about it, but that was a really good slap.
There was one interesting take that I saw about it on TikTok. I know TikTok, but whatever. And if you roll back that video, he's politely laughing at first. Did you see that, Wes? Did you notice that?
Oh yeah. It looks like he's having a good time throughout the whole thing, actually.
Right. And then all of a sudden you look over at, I don't want to put his wife's name in my mouth and get slapped, but his wife, you look over and she's obviously not having it. And so there was this interesting take that somebody had about, well, once he saw that she was dismayed, and obviously, we all know about the affair, between the two of them, that happened. And so I think there's this question of masculinity of, well, he couldn't take care of her in other ways. So this is just another way where he failed to step up. And I think in that moment, that probably all came back to him when she looked at him that way and saying of that look of like, aren't you going to do something? And I don't think she actually wanted him to do that. I think she probably just didn't want him to laugh at the joke. But I just thought that was a very interesting take, that it was actually, Will Smith was kind of put in like this awkward position, and I'm not going to say acted accordingly, but I have something to play for you both.
Damn, he gonna feel that till August. When Jada was entangled, Willie, where was all this? Now, I know that y'all was doing the open thing, but you slapped the taste about his mouth like your name was Novocaine. Looking like the fresh simple Bel Air up there. And it won't be long before the internet grabbing this. They'll say you won the Oscar for the pursuit of slappiness. I like the open-handed hit because paper beats rock, but keep that energy when Jada's on another man's... Marshall, that's enough. My fault. I'm awfully shocked. He slapped Chris Rock.
Is that a TikTok?
That's a TikTok. It's another gem from the internet for you boys.
That was like a pretty good like early Eminem impression.
It's not bad. I give it an 8 out of 10.
Was the video over? Was it like dubbed over the 8 Mile bit like at the end?
No, it's just some guy in a shirt with a hoodie pulled over his head. You know, the classic Marshall Mathers look, and seems to be a crowd of people photoshopped behind him. So,
because that would have been like really good if they would have like photoshopped like Will Smith's face over
Papa Doc's
Falcon. I can't remember like what the hell that actor's name is. The guy that plays Falcon in the Marvel movies.
Oh, you think I'm gonna fucking know?
Anthony Mackie, that's his name.
Okay, all right, there we go. I'm glad you had the answer to your own question there, pal.
I just had to get there.
I was going to be of no help.
That's what she said.
Huh?
Well, speaking of that, so she said, like every party I was ever invited to back in high school, I'm the last one to show up. So thanks for waiting for me, guys. Appreciate it.
Lucky you. I didn't even get invited to parties.
Right? What the hell? There were parties?
I always heard about them, but like it was like after the fact.
I just thought it was a movie thing, you know?
Let me tell you about my extensive history with parties at Rossford High School. Okay. I came, I had anxiety, I left.
Yeah, but you still got invited, so you're still doing way better than us.
Today on the Life Midwest podcast, Kevin was popular.
Kevin low-key flexing.
I don't know. I don't know about that. No, I don't know about that. I think I had a opportunity to be liked, and I ruined it constantly without realizing that I was ruining it constantly. And the few who stuck around are my best friends. So welcome. Welcome to you.
Well, Kevin, we've had a trained dinosaur connection for a long time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, we're only a couple of tens of thousands of years apart on that, but that's all right. In some sort of parallel universe, there's a dinosaur riding a train.
I'm sorry. Did you say tens of thousands of years dinosaurs?
That's technically not incorrect.
So like chickens. Are we considering chickens dinosaurs?
Yes.
And like, okay.
Well, no, it's at least tens of thousands of years. It doesn't have to be exactly, you know. Like if you're at a stadium full of people and you say, "Look at all these people. There's at least 10 people here." You're not wrong. There is at least 10 people.
So like orders of magnitude greater, tens of thousands, but still tens of thousands.
You know what? Lenny has my back on this.
Yeah.
So thank you, Lenny. I appreciate it. I like how I've spent the last 16 and a half minutes trying to make Lenny laugh, and then Lenny just cracks one himself, and he's like, "I'm so funny." Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you're tuning in from across the country and around the world. This is the Life Midwest podcast. And you know what? It wouldn't be the Life Midwest podcast if we didn't have a special guest these days. Everybody, please welcome back our good buddy, old pal, Lenny Wells.
You got me again, motherfucker.
You know,
I'm back and I'm better than ever.
I still think about the episode not too long ago when we celebrated 50 episodes. And you're like, "Yay me, I'm here." Why? God,
Should that
so
be the
what?
standard every time? Is that what you're saying?
No, I had to mute my mic because I just thought I was going to hack up half of one of my lungs. Oh, man. I tell you what, boys, I could really use these laughs, and I'm glad we're getting together today because I am just beside myself with stress. And not to make this like all about me or anything like that, but holy crap, life is insane right now.
Yeah. Is anybody else sweating? I am.
Yeah. It's like I've been sweating for the last like 18 months, and it doesn't matter how many layers I put on or off. So, yeah.
What's eating at you, my dude?
Yeah. Why are you sweating?
So I guess we can take some time and kind of go around the bend here a little bit, but so our renewal for our lease is up, and we basically just got told in writing that if we don't re-sign with them for an additional $100 a month on top of the rent that we're paying already, that quickly becomes an additional $300 a month to month.
God damn.
Jesus fucking Christ. What kind of, you guys are in a house, correct?
It's a villa, like a single level condo. So it's a villa.
So it's a glorified apartment.
Yes.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. I mean, I guess that's not, well, I mean, that is a lot, but like when Brittany and I moved in together, the apartment was a 2-bedroom. It was an apartment, not like a condo or anything. And that was $1,100 a month. And then we like really lucked in to a 4-bedroom house at 16. And then that went up to like $1,750 when we were going like eventually.
Mm-hmm.
So that's real indicative just housing costs across the country, because like I thought, oh, you're also going to hear the kids, FYI.
Hi, kids.
That's just real indicative of where housing costs are across the country. I didn't think it was that bad. When I talked to my parents one time about like what like we were paying for rent, they just could not believe like how much we were paying, and because it like mortgage payments at like on the West Coast are not too far removed from what I was paying for rent. Whereas like, typically mortgages, oh, thank you so much, Ronan. Ronan, get out of here, you goof.
I went here.
Anyways, like mortgages seem, or at least used to seem like they were lower in cost the further east you went. The apartment I lived in, which was a studio, when I met Brittany, was $500 a month, and at that time, this was like 2014, people were paying, like in the Toledo area, a high mortgage was like $800-900 a month for like, that was considered high for a mortgage at the time. So
Yeah.
that's just crazy.
Yeah, and I think what you're describing too is like this gap between like mortgage and rent pricing, and what's funny is, and I don't know if Wes has anything to input here, but it's hard to we have a system where it's hard to get out of rent and into mortgage because rent doesn't show up on your credit report. So you tell someone that you're paying $1,500 a month and you're trying to apply for a loan where you're paying $1,000 a month and you can't get approved. It doesn't make any sense.
That does make no sense, and it's wrong.
I think it would show up on your credit if you didn't pay, though, right?
It fucking would. Yeah, it fucking would. You bet your ass it would.
Yeah, I don't know why it works this way, but utilities, for whatever reason, don't only show up on credit reports when you've missed payments.
I don't know if it's me growing up playing Monopoly, but utilities always sounded like a smaller bill. I didn't know that my fucking housing, because it was rent, was a utility. But that's how they're treating it on credit reports.
So renting kind of just bends you over all around. You build no equity. You're just throwing out money to live somewhere that you won't see any of that return to yourself. You don't build credit for paying that. And if you happen to miss a payment, they can always report you to the credit bureaus. But we're kind of stuck renting, it seems, in a lot of circumstances. It's not a great system, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's I think it's again, not to get too political, but it's a morally bankrupt system, I believe.
I am very open to hearing more about that.
Well,
not to get you in like Grandpa Lenny mode, but
no, it's not like that. I don't want to like. I have some strong opinions on the subject overall, and I don't want to get like too ranty or preachy because this isn't really the forum for that. And not to say that like all landlords are this way, but especially like mom and like quote unquote mom and pop kind of people, you know, like an older like boomer couple, right? That happens to own like an extra house and they just rent it out for like supplemental income. But like banks and corporations that like own swaths of property, like I'll give you an example. There's a subdevelopment right across from where we're living now that went up over like the course of a summer 2 years ago, and it's all renting properties. It's owned by a company, and they just rent the houses. Like you cannot buy those houses that went up, and there's like 20 of them in this little subdivision, and base rent was $1,700 for like the whatever their quote unquote basic house was. And I know for a fact from looking on the website that it could go up to $2,400 a month.
Wow.
And you're right. Well, Wes is right. Build no equity in the property. It doesn't help you in so far as credit's concerned, and it really does just get you stuck in a cycle of having to rent. And again, he's right again. Like it shows up on credit reports because if you miss a payment, then they automatically, like companies like the one I'm talking about, like referencing, they automatically put collection notices together, which get filed into court systems, whether or not you pay that like back within like the allotted time or make that payment. So it's always going and hitting those credit agencies, regardless of whether or not like you take care of it on time, as it were. So it only ever hurts you.
Yeah, it never helps you. Never helps you. Because I mean, when you think about it, you talk about like how you talk about, you know, when you're getting a credit application filled out and they're asking you about like where you, like it's part of your credit app. Like they want to know what your monthly obligation is for rent. And I don't know. I feel like it doesn't. The only good thing that rent seems to really do for you is that if something breaks, you get to twist someone else's arm to fix it instead of your own.
That's if you're not liable for it. Like if you like didn't purposely break it.
And if you're lucky and have a decent landlord who will be prompt about getting that fixed.
Yeah.
We at the last house Brittany and I rented, the garbage disposal went out on it. Like it just totally seized up.
Yeah, very common thing, right?
Yeah, and I put in personally 4 work orders, and it never got done. We lived there for 5 years, and it went out a year and a half into us living there.
Jeez.
I'd like to circle back to the point made earlier about it being morally bankrupt that these companies will buy up just large swaths of land, build housing on it, and then only rent that housing. In the same breath, we have companies like Zillow buying up a lot of properties just to kind of inflate the market. It seems like we're repeating not only what happened in the 2008 bubble, where a select few companies trade these vast portfolios of property and other, investments or whatever. But like it sets all these properties aside and allows the room for a lot of exploitation of people who can't get out of this renting cycle, who can't afford to own a home because of how inflated the prices are, and is then forced to spend their money every month in this trap, affording living in just a place with a roof and hopefully some basic utilities. And this is something the country, as a whole, the United States is going to have to reckon with, whether it's passing legislation that prevents this from actually being something that can continue to happen, or putting programs in place where programs or laws, where it's just, you can't own this much property. You can only own one rental property as supplemental income or something. And that might be drastic. I don't really know what the standard is, but just cutting back what people can own. You're creating a game and a system by buying up rental properties and investing in real estate at the extent of you're going to rent it to people. The whole concept there is people will rely on you for living, and you can profit on that. And when we're putting the availability to profit on someone living in sustainable, hidden from the elements, I lost it again. I was too deep, and then I choked.
I hate when I'm too deep and I choke.
That's what she said. Kevin, do you have something that like? Do you want to talk about that? Because I don't want to take over the episode.
No, that's all right. No, I basically, we're looking for a house as a result because we don't want to keep, we like you guys are describing. We feel like we're pissing away money at this point, and we want to be able to put our money into something that we know we're going to have for a while. And whether that becomes an eventual rental property or whatever, we know it's not going to be our forever home. But I think at the same time, you got to start somewhere and get that starter home or that mid-level home and kind of have something to build upon and put into. And so it's a really bad time to buy a housing. And I think that's why this is happening with rental properties too, like going up, is because they fucking know that there are people who are trying to buy houses because the housing market is insane. Just to give you an anecdotal example here, in one of our house hunts, we found a house in which we offered $28,000 over the asking price. All we wanted was the traditional inspection. That's all we cared about. And we hadn't actually toured the home. We had our real estate agent, his partner, happened to be visiting the home for some similar clients. And so he happened to have a video. So we made this offer $28,000 over the asking price, having seen a fucking video of the house, and we still lost it to somebody else.
That's the norm, as opposed to like an outlier, where it used to not be the case. I'll give you an anecdotal example from the West Coast. The house next to that is directly next door to Brittany's parents' house. It went up for sale. I think their original asking, by the way, this is not like a mansion or anything, so hold on to your butts.
I can hold on.
Firmly grasp.
I think it's like a 3 or 4 bedroom with like a mother-in-law unit, right? And that's not very big. It's maybe 500 square feet.
Okay.
And it went up for sale. You ready for this? The original asking price was $600,000.
Wow.
It doesn't even have any. It's like not even like a bunch of property. Kevin, you know my parents' house, right?
Yes.
The kind of size of land it sits on. It's about the same. It's a little bit bigger actually in terms of like land size, maybe, but it's about the same size of the property footprint. And it went for $750 at closing.
Wow.
Yeah, I've heard of people like professionals, and when I say like doctors, offering in the Pacific Northwest, offering like $50,000 over with no inspection, just a straight offer as is basically, and still being outbid.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, but it's the new norm. People are waiving the inspections because they think if there's anything wrong with the house, hell, I'd rather take the risk and just pay for it down the road, or I can take out a loan against my mortgage or whatever crazy other tool that they're thinking of in the back of their head. I guess they're just thinking, screw it, I'll pay for it. I'll take my chances. At least it means I don't have to deal with this bullshit anymore of looking for a house. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it really is. I don't, kind of to circle back to what Wes was talking about, it's not quite the same housing bubble as like the late 2000s, early 2010s. The lending practices that were happening then are not what's happening now, as far as like subprime lending.
And just selling to people above their means intentionally. And yeah, no, for sure. That is an important distinction to make.
I don't have any proof. I can't prove this. It's just a kind of gut feeling I have, but it's really seems to be driven by corporate housing ownership, or whatever a better way to say that is. But I really believe that it's driven by like, that Zillow thing that happened, or quote unquote didn't happen. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
For those who may not be familiar, can you give us a brief synopsis on that?
Yeah. So Zillow is a real estate speculation company, I think is the best way to put it. Basically, you can go to Zillow.com and it shows like it's like a Craigslist for houses for sale. And what they were accused of doing was market manipulation by buying houses way over asking price and then basically like immediately relisting those houses at profit, at a profit price.
Wow.
And then so that plus again these corporations that only rent but either buy up existing properties or build their own, just massively inflating the local markets. The market value of houses is really making it so people either can't they just make it so like Joe Schmo just can't go out and buy a house, even if like they have a steady job. They can obviously make the mortgage payments, but even like I said, some higher educated professionals can't do it. Or if people aren't priced out that way, it's creating what I like to call a Black Friday market, in so much as that like people are just running in and grabbing up properties as quickly as they can. So like I'm sure you guys have heard of stories where a house will be on this market. Well, it'll get posted online for 5 minutes, and then within that 5 minutes, somebody already has put an offer in. Somebody else got outbid 3 times or whatever, and then the house is sold for 1,000 to like 10,000, 100,000 over asking.
I have a theory, I guess I'll call it. I don't really intend to prove this. If anyone wants to, they can. But this is kind of how I've seen just everything happening in, let's say, the last half a decade or so. I guess that's really my only relevant points of data. It seems like we've just commodified every aspect of life. I've witnessed this firsthand with trading cards, like all the way through the 2010s, and then still into the 2020s. Cards are in limited supply. There is there is a greater demand than there will be generally, unless people just crank out buying the stuff they want. But people will buy it at the lowest price possible, knowing that there's going to be people wanting that, and then they will flip it. We've seen this with graphics cards. And with the housing market, it kind of seems the same. As long as I've remember, growing up, I've always heard the route to living a comfortable life is making a lot of money some way and then turning that into real estate that you can then rent out. And with everyone knowing that, as like people are moving with COVID and the availability of work from home, live wherever you want, I feel like a lot of people with means, a lot of people with wealth, just like in other markets, graphics cards, they saw this opportunity. Well, I'm going to buy up as much of this as possible, even though it's not a desirable location right now. Who knows? Maybe people have family and they want to move back because they can work from home, or maybe this is a desirable area for them because of low cost of living. And then they just overinflate the market by buying out at lowest price and trying to flip.
That wouldn't shock me, because a lot of these houses have gone. The one that we bid $28,000 over the asking price actually had a canceled open house because they received 21 offers. There were 21 offers in from people who didn't even look at the home. They just saw the outside and said, yep, whatever's on the inside, I'll make it work or I'll tear it down. And so it almost coincides with what you're saying. Not to be like a conspiracy theorist or anything like that, but I think there's some weight to what you're saying. It's very possible.
Like, everyone, it's a safe bet. It's always like, if I had a lot of money and I knew real estate was a safe investment, like in 10 years, unless we have a massive crash, real estate's a safe investment. And then after that crash, it's a safe investment again, as long as the house remains intact and the economy is building back up again. Like, so
right.
If everyone needs it, it's always going to be an easy investment. Why would you not just do that every time? And if you have a shit ton of money you're sitting on, quickest safe investment, instead of pissing it away in the stocks, I'll piss it away on a commodity. And hopefully I don't end up pissing it away. Like, I've just heard a lot of people to that extent express those opinions. I'm just going to find the easy route. And I wouldn't call it greed necessarily. I think life's becoming more difficult and money's becoming more uncertain. So like, greed from corporations and everyone that's making everyone else's life miserable. But maybe the people who are doing this are just like people who flip graphics cards or whatever, are doing it because it's an opportunity that they can jump on.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Wes, that there is there's a lot of commodifying that's going on, and more to the point of it being like a quote safe investment. That's part of the reason why I feel that it's morally bankrupt, because everybody needs housing. So being able to make it a commodity when it's a necessity is what I think the root of the problem is. Because like I said, everybody needs shelter, right? And so turning something that people need into a way to profit, I think that's wrong. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't ever be able to profit, because there are things that people are going to want to have, like an easier life, let's say. But like, for example, like electronics, like a smart TV. Like I'm not going to say you shouldn't be able to make a profit on selling smart TVs, but in the same way that like utility companies for like water or electricity, for example, their profit margins are inherently really small, because it's not something that they're selling to make money off of. They're not selling stocks in it to make money off of it. It's more like operating costs and paying employees, right? As well as like whatever the downstream energy costs are for like production. And that, to make it, not to get lost in the weeds, but that's where I see the issue with housing costs and having investment in properties.
I agree with that. They've made it a game, and the people with means will always win the game because it's unfair, and the people who really need to be able to at least participate in the game at some level will suffer. Yeah, I agree. It is morally bankrupt, and the system itself is designed to enable that type of behavior.
All I know is, folks, we've done a lot of time here tearing down the current state of things, and things may seem pretty bleak. So today may have been real. I don't know about fun, but it's always real fun when Lenny's around. Lenny, thanks for coming out today. I want to shout you out. I really appreciate you, and I want to shout out just Lenny as the dad and husband that he had to be during this episode today.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, no, appreciate it. It's always fun when we have 30-minute cold openers.
16 and a half.
Close enough.
Hey, before I kick the shout outs over to Lenny, I also want to shout out my real estate agent. I got to check with him and see if he wants an actual plug on the show, but either way, shout out to him. He's been dealing with my obnoxious ass. So appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for everything so far, and hopefully we find something for us. So, Lenny, what do you got this week?
Shout out to DoorDash and for making dinner. Shout out to my wife, who's very sick right now and just wanted soup, but we don't have any soup in the house, so that's why DoorDash got shouted out. Sponsor the podcast, #. Shout out to my smelly kids, who have been, for the most part, pretty good and quiet while I've been recording in the living room instead of the office. Especially you. Yeah, especially you. I went into your room yesterday and it smelled. Why do you think your room smells? It's because you smell. Yeah, because you stink. Yeah, you have crabs. Hermit crabs. Anyways, you stink. Get some Febreze. You just bought $50 shorts at Hot Topic. You can get some Febreze.
It's only $1.25 at Dollar Tree.
She went. So apparently Mogov is coming back. She went and bought some Trip shorts. Remember Trip?
No. Oh yeah.
I guess the Mogov is coming back.
Yeah. Shout out to those.
Yeah. Shout out to the Mogov.
Wes, what do you got this week?
Shout out to houses. You expensive houses. Shout out to Lenny. Thank you for coming on. It's always great when you're here. Also, it's hilarious just your interaction with your kids. You get out of here. Like you're in the living room. It's perfect.
I am in the living room. We have a good time.
Shout out to mothers, can't forget about them. Shout out to fathers, I think that should be a thing too. Shout out to parents. Parents are cool. Aside from that, I'm Gucci.
All right, we're going to leave it there. Hey, next week, we're going to kick off that new series around the water cooler. We hope you'll be around to check it out. And Lenny, would you be cool joining us for that? Is that a thing? Can we do that?
Yeah, that can be a thing.
Lenny's doing 2 weeks in a row, boys. We got him on overtime.
Shotgun. Double barrel.
Free content.
Yeah, free content.
All right, folks, we'll see you next Saturday and every Saturday here on the Life Midwest podcast. Don't forget that you can reach out to us at any of our major social platforms at The Life Midwest. You can email us at support@thelifemidwest.com. We also have a PayPal set up if you'd like to donate to the show at paypal.me/thelifemidwest. If none of those are feeling spicy enough for you, just leave us a review on your favorite listening platform. We really appreciate that too. Until then, guys, have a good one. Take care.
Bye.
Hasta la taco, poros, burritos.
I'm eating a turkey bacon club right now.
Delicious.
Relevant.